Hey, this is Stevie TV, and I am reviewing and reacting to the latest episode of Preacher, episode 3. Right off the bat, this one started off with a bang, no pun intended. And it was showing us finally Eugene's backstory and what really happened. From this point on in the show, we thought Eugene tried to kill Tracy, but he actually tried to save her when she tried to kill herself, and then he tries to kill himself knowing the consequences from her mother and his father of them thinking that he actually murdered her. Turns out he screws his face up, becomes R's face, and they still get just as mad as him. I'm mad at him, so it's like, might as well not have shot yourself in the face, but I really like that they angled it that he didn't actually try to hurt her and that he was a good guy, because it makes his character so much more likable, because I was worried about that. I was like, oh, I want to like R's face, but did he try to murder this girl out of her rejecting him? He didn't, and you feel terrible for him, because she says, ew, gross to him, even when he's not even R's face yet, which was so sad for Eugene. That was hard to watch for sure. But that was a great opening to the episode. Then they start out in New Orleans, our three main characters, and you see Tulip's being a little sketchy. Something's off with her about the whole New Orleans area, and Preacher's looking for God still, and it's kind of like, it's moving much quicker this season, which is great. It's so exciting that they're on the road and changing scenery episode to episode, and you just don't know what you're going to expect now. It's not just the same setting like it was in season 1 in the rural area, so now it's like you don't know what you're going to get, and it perfectly was shown in this episode when they're told to go downstairs to meet God, and then there's a man dressed up as a dog chained to some lady. That was so freaking freaky as shit with that dog. I'm sorry, I was freaked out. I didn't expect that. I still just want to know what is up with that. It's got to mean something because they zoomed down on his eye. It has to do something. He's important. I didn't read the comics, so forgive me. But as a TV viewer, I'm excited to see what the hell is up with that. I hope they go back to that for sure. I thought it was interesting. Cassidy brings Tulip and him, instead of staying in a motel, to one of his friends' places. Clearly, this goes back to Cassidy's past. Cassidy's way older because he's a vampire. So he definitely knew this guy when he was young. That guy's watching Three Stooges still. But Cassidy probably watched that show with him. And it's going to be interesting to see how that relates because they already are showing it's a very odd relationship. But that's what makes Cassidy's character so interesting is he can now know older people and what they were like when they were younger and from the past. Because he's really an old man. The blonde girl that they introduced in this episode turns out to fool Jesse. And it introduces us to those men in white that tried to get Jesse. And they're basically people don't want people to know that the secret's out that God's missing. So we're going to get into that. And they obviously work for the introduced villain, her star, if I'm saying that right. But he's the guy in the suit with the crazy eye we saw for a second. So you have him now, Saint of Killers on his tail. It's interesting. They're adding a lot of villains, and it's making more interesting and higher stakes. And then, the female with the blonde hair was wearing a wig. She's no good either. So she's another villain we're getting to know. So it's interesting. We're getting a little new cast of characters. I think this episode as a whole was a little more of a slowdown for sure than episodes 1 and 2. It wasn't as thrilling, but that's going to happen. You got to come to a come down. But it still felt a little empty. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it. I thought the Eugene parts were great. I thought seeing Eugene in hell and that he's repeating over and over the scene, his worst day of his life when he accidentally shot himself and saw that girl shoot herself. And then in hell we find out his thing that does that stopped working. So now he's actually seeing what hell really is, which was cool. And he sees Hitler at the end, so I'm interested to see where that goes. Could go anywhere. I'm excited about it, but besides that parts of New Orleans were they were okay. It was just a little bit all right, come on. We get it, Jesse's looking for God. What's next? And it's still just okay. It was moving a little bit at a snail's pace. I'd like a little more humor in there. I missed that because last week was so damn funny, but we'll see what happens and what happens with Tulip with this Victor character who she clearly worked for before, and now they are raising the stakes. I feel like next week's going to be crazy. This was a little bit of a slowdown, but it was still solid. This season of Preacher still has been way better than season 1. Please comment if you agree with that statement, because a lot of people weren't crazy about it season 1. And season 2 to me is a way higher ceiling now, and it's setting up for great stuff, and it's been thrilling already to me. So I'm going to give this episode, though, a 7.5. Wasn't as good as episode 1 or 2, but it sets up things pretty well, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And we got Eugene's backstory, which is always a plus, and some new characters, new villains. And yeah, please, the most important thing is let me know what you thought of the episode and what you're thinking of the season as a whole. I respond to every comment. Please subscribe. I'm going to do every episode of Preacher. And I do trailer reactions, TV reviews, movie reviews, all over the place. So, but I will be doing every Preacher episode. Please let me know what you thought. Tell me whatever you want. If you thought I sucked, if I was good, let me have it. And yeah, please let me know what you thought of the episode. And I'd love to see you come back soon.